Harry's drinking again.
Sure, no problem.
This is the best.
Harry's drinking again.
These are Cheech and Chong gummies, and they're legal because they're hemp, but they have 3.5% THC. So you will get, that buzz they always talking about, buzz driving and buzz this, buzz that. You get a buzz. You get a nice buzz from them. And I gave some to my friends last night at dinner. And before dinner was over, they were buzzing. It was nice.
Ray, your camera went off again.
I know. I for some reason.
All right.
1 second. It keeps coming. Okay. All right. On and off. All right. Here we go. Apologize for that, guys.
You got to turn off the ugly filter. That's all.
The ugly filter. I don't know. I trying to turn that off. I guess it's permanent.
So thank you so much, man, for joining us this morning. First of all, thank you for your time. Because now that I'm doing this podcast and I formed it into a business of somewhat, I understand that time is money, and you could be anywhere in the world with us. So thank you for blessing us on the Harris's Drinking Again podcast. I just want to say to start, you're by far a cultural icon, if I could say, somewhat of an American treasure, not just for the weed advocates out there, but we want to get into your background and everything. But I want to let you know, from my generation, I'm born in '87, so I of course know you from the Cheech and Chong films that I would watch when I was a young man. I started smoking marijuana at 11 years old.
Of course.
I'm not going to put that just on you. The rappers had a lot to do with it.
No, Tommy, you got me smoking weed, man. I blame you, brother.
Listen,
I'm 6'7".
I started the rapper smoking, so don't feel bad.
Right. You're the big influence of that whole generation.
Oh yeah, you know it, man. I've been on a lot of Dr. Dre albums.
Yeah.
When he first started out, he needed some juice, and so he came to me actually.
Right.
And I right at the beginning, before there was rap, there was hip hop.
Hey, that's right. That's right.
Before hip hop, there was R&B, and I was there at the beginning of all of that, and been part of it too. So, and it's all, that was the common thing that we had in common. One thing that we had in common was the good weed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's No, you're my main influence in that one.
You've got to be by far the most dropped name in rap lyrics. Bong Chong, from Cypress Hill to
you gotta have like Cheech and Chong. Yeah, we did it. Now it looks like we're going to be hooking up with who are those guys? It'll come to me.
Wu-Tang Clan, no?
Rap group. They were very hot for a while, and they faded. But anyway, they want to do a Cheech and Chong revival, but rap style. All the music that we wrote, like Basketball Jones and Eric My Eye and all that. But redo them and put a little rap tinge to it,
Oh, like a remix, like a mashup.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's nice.
So we're looking at that. And also, Cheech and I are getting ready to do a movie. And there's also a documentary that's already been shot. It's in the can now. They're just looking for the right deal. And so this year is going to be coming out. Cheech and Chong coming out of the pandemic, with everything.
Oh wow, that's gonna be interesting because a lot of like a movie like Harold and Kumar, was
Yeah.
kind of an offshoot of Cheech and Chong. The only
Yeah.
thing is two college guys
Yeah.
and everything. And you guys were two different ones. I mean, Tommy, you were not only that, you kind of like started the whole biker look, the denim bell bottoms and the vests, and you
Yeah,
know,
hey,
and
the split knees.
this yeah.
I tell you, there's a picture of me in Up in Smoke,
Up in Smoke, man.
and my both my knees. They're not big splits, but they're torn in the knees.
Was that intentional, or was that just something that
Well, my wife Shelby, she designed the outfit. So for some reason that's how she's my designer. I've met her. I've known her since she was a young girl. She was 15 when I met her, and she's an artist, and so she when we first met, she was trying to catch the eye of the singer that was in the group. You know, her and her girlfriends they're Canadian, and they just discovered the Soul Brothers. You know, the black guys, and so we had a real handsome black lead singer, Tommy Milton, and Shelby was trying to get his attention. You know, trying to talk to him, and I kept getting in the way. The minute I saw her, I fell so much in love, and that was a long time ago. But she was not only an artist, but she's had this incredible business brain sense at such a young girl. You know, I would tell her my problems, you know, about the business. You know, I had a nightclub at the time, and she would give me answers. She would tell me what to do. And then she started helping my look, you know, in order to so that she could date me or you know, at least be around me. She had to tell me to grow my hair long and wear, you know, the first thing she said to me when we're in the car together, she never said hello or how are you? Or, I love the band, and none of that. The first thing she said to me was, take off that dickie. No, a dickie was the phony turtleneck sweater.
Right.
And that was our band uniform. And so we all had them. And so that was the way we, you know, back in the day, you had to have a uniform.
Right.
And so that was our uniform. But she hated that look. And so she wouldn't talk to me until I took off the dickie. And I took off the dickie. And then she says, now get me some popcorn. And because we were in a like a circus midway kind of thing, the band had just entered a teen club band battle of the bands or talent show, and we won it. We
wow,
won.
really? Wow.
And we won a recording contract with RCA Records. And there's a record out somewhere around there called Junior's Jerk, which I wrote.
Junior's Jerk.
Junior's Jerk.
Wait, first of all, when all of this started, Tommy, around what year was this? Was this like late 60s, 69, going to 70, 71?
This was 65. 65.
Wow.
65.
64, 65.
I was the RC Records before signing to Berry Gordy and the.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they've been around.
It was kind of a scam because we won the recording contract, and there was no recording studios in Calgary where we won it. Was it Calgary? No, it was Vancouver. What am I talking about? We're in Vancouver, and at the time there was no, you know, recording studios anywhere, and so we had to record in a radio station in the hallway on the stairs because there was no building. You know, the radio station just had studios. You know, and so we were on the stairs of the building with the microphones, and we recorded. It was a one take thing or two takes, and the other side was Too Much Monkey Business. It was a Chuck Berry cover. We covered.
Really?
and Tommy Melton sang Too Much Monkey Business, and I played Junior's Jerk, because we didn't know we needed a B-side. We just had one record, one song that we could do. That was our best song. And so when they said, "Oh, we gotta have something on the B-side," and so I kind of made up that song as we recorded it. And
Can you remember what the song is about? Because were you 60s? So I'm assuming you guys were an R&B band, Tommy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So a lot of doo-wops, doo-wop. You know that.
No more. We were more. In fact, we were Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley. And,
Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, right?
Gotcha. We're just like the Stones. The Stones came after us. And they did the same thing. They covered Bo Diddley and they did Chuck Berry. I just watched Keith Richards' bio, and our stories are so similar. You know, the amazing thing, I've been watching all the bios of all the rock groups like Eric Clapton and all those guys, David Bowie, the Beatles. You know, the one thing they all had in common. You know what it was?
Rhythm and blues.
No, well, that was one thing. The one thing they all had in common, they all went to art school.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
Every one of them. And so that's David Bowie, that's Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton's an amazing story. His father was Canadian. So Eric's half Canadian. His father was a Canadian airman.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so Eric and then Keith, they all Keith Richards lived down the street from Eric, and when they were kids, and so they kind of discovered Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley, and at the same time we did, and so their bands were all covered, but because they were in England, they had, you know, and the Beatles, thanks to the Beatles also were an R&B cover group.
Right.
Because the Beatles, they covered the Isley Brothers, Twist and Shout.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so those were a time where, like Wilson Pickett, those kind of guys.
Yeah.
Otis Redding. Yeah,
Otis Redding. And then what happened with me, somewhere along the line, you know, we were traveling down to LA from Vancouver. I'm Canadian. And so we were traveling down there trying to, you know, actually, we were just going down there as an adventure, you know, see if we could get a
Were
gig.
you guys cruising down Gastown?
Where, in Vancouver?
And you're wondering, how come I know that? I got family up in Vancouver. Gastown.
We were there when Gastown just got reinvented.
Oh, really? Gastown, Hastings, all of that. I am familiar with that.
Well, right now, you know, it's a big junkie.
Yeah,
you know.
Yes, like a Skid Row. Yeah,
you can't. It was Skid Row before. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I knew Vancouver. Vancouver is one of the cleanest city I've ever been to. I'm from San Francisco, so I knew Vancouver before I even knew the streets of San Francisco, because two of my uncles lived over there. Burnaby, I mean, they lived in Coquitlam. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yep. They live in Coquitlam, and then
how did they get to Canada?
Actually, okay. So we migrated from the Philippines.
Oh,
it's just that my dad's dad fought in the American military side, in the U.S. military during World War II. So and so we waited for that one. But on my mom's side, which is my uncles, they didn't have that. But Canada had opened. They opened the immigration again around 1976, 77.
Yeah.
And so my Tito Boy and my Tito Donnie, they basically took their petition and got into Canada.
Yeah, so cool. You know how I got in there?
How?
My grandfather, Sam, I never met him, but he came over to work on the railroad in Canada. Really? He was part of the whole, the Canadian government and the U.S. government, they never had the expertise to go through the mountains.
Oh, really?
The railroad. And the only people on the planet that knew how to do that were the Chinese, because the Chinese had the explosives. They knew
dynamite's correct. Yeah.
They knew how to deal with explosives. And so the Canadian government made a deal with the Chinese government, and they had the Chinese come over, laborers, to work on the railroad. And back then, they treated the Chinese much like slaves, like, in fact, they like subhuman. That's what they did. And as soon as they got the railroad completed, they fired the Chinese. They didn't send them back home or nothing. They fired, and check this out. This is crazy. They charged the Chinese a fee to come to work in Canada.
What?
Yes, they charge it. You had to come up with, I don't know, a couple of $1,000 to come in to work on the railroad. It was a fee.
Those motherfuckers.
Hey, listen, the money they made paid for the railroad.
That's crazy.
So the Chinese not only had to build it, they paid for it. That's how.
So basically, they paid for their jobs. What the hell?
They paid for it. And check this out. I found this out. As soon as the railroad was completed, they fired the Chinese, fired them all. And they had, a lot of them were not stuck, but Chinese, they're so cool. They're so together.
Yeah, they own the laundromat, they own the restaurant, they know how to make money, man.
Out,
I'm part Chinese too, Tommy. So I got that freaking savvy shit on me too.
Here's what they did, man. Here's what they did. The Chinese. Okay, they got nowhere. First of all, while they were doing the railroad,
right,
they were discovering jade in the
no shit.
They discovered jade. And so what they were doing, they were shipping the jade back to China in coffins.
In coffins? Are you kidding me?
Listen,
and the white guys are probably going, what is this? Oh, what is this green? What is this?
No, it was stupid rock. Get rid of the rock.
It's a stupid rock. What the hell? And I'll pay for my shit.
Chinese would load up all these coffins with jade.
I'm telling you, Chinese people are the Jewish version of the Jewish version of the Asian. Wait, the Jewish version of Asians, man. Fucking smart.
Yeah.
Asian Jews,
So clever. So clever, so smart, and gold.
When you were up
the
in
Chinese that discovered the gold in California,
it
was the Chinese that discovered gold in British Columbia, but it was jade that they really.
Jade, I didn't even know they had that in Canada.
But check this out, man. Not only when they got fired, that's when because they just went to all the different little towns and boroughs in Canada, and they started restaurants
and that's why Chinese restaurant in Canada is fucking better because of Cantonese. Because I lived in Hawaii for 15 years. I lived in the Philippines, and you know what? Chinese food in Hawaii freaking kind of sucks, Tommy.
Yeah.
Thank God, but freaking Vancouver on point, bro.
Is that what Canadian and Chinese? Is that?
Man, there's a lot of Chinese over there, man. A lot of East Indians and Chinese, man.
In Vancouver?
And in Canada, period. Ontario, east to west,
Well, okay. Now listen to this. This gets better. Because the Chinese weren't considered citizens. Okay, they weren't allowed to vote. They weren't allowed to own businesses.
Right.
Couldn't own businesses. So what they did, they hooked up with the white lawyers.
Right.
And then they started businesses with generic names like Standard Fruit, Acme Fruit, all these standard generic names. You didn't know who owned them, but they owned them. And this is the killer. This is one I love. Okay, there was no severance pay or anything. So once they got fired, they were on their own,
Right.
And so what the Chinese did with the lawyers, because they couldn't use lawyers, so they would hire the white lawyers, and they found if you opened a benevolent society, the Chinese benevolent societies all over.
I never heard of that.
Oh, well, you go to Chinatown, you go to in San Francisco, you go to Vancouver, there's benevolent societies. They're called benevolent
societies. Okay.
Yeah, but they're private clubs, and because it's a private club, they could have gambling. Chinese started the gambling industry in North America.
No shit.
Think about that. Private club, you can have gambling. And because China, they invented gambling.
Yeah.
The Philippines, all of them,
The Asians got gambling in their hearts, man. It's in their blood.
The reason I became who I am was because my dad, he was Chinese, but he gambled. He was a gambler. So we never owned anything.
No, I can relate. The reason why my last name is Siapno is Siapno, and then World War II, yada yada yada. Americans misspelled it SEA. So my grandfather said, fuck it, man, just keep it SEAPNO. So ever since then, my last name's been jacked up, Tommy. So, anyways, his mother, pure Chinese, spoke Spanish in the Philippines, but her father is called Stranghero, pure Chinese with a pigtail and everything, married a Portuguese woman. Because he's rich. She basically adapted his Chinese culture, wrapping of the feet and all that stuff and whatnot, making the face all pale and everything, because he's making money. But what do you call it? The daughter, my grandmother, was a freaking gambler and gambled all the land away, Tommy.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened. Oh, the Chinese, the history. I started studying it, and it was a white guy in Vancouver that really did the studying. I forget his name. He's got books out now. His name always escapes me. But anyway, I learned all these Chinese stories that my dad never knew. My dad, he barely talked to me, growing up. He was a truck driver. He'd been in the Second World War. He didn't have to go to war. All his Chinese buddies stayed back and made a fortune because they didn't want Chinese in the army.
Right.
But my dad, because he was born in Canada, he was Canadian, so he could join the armed forces. So he joined up. Like my dad really was a white guy that knew how to speak Chinese. That really. Oh,
so your dad was part but spoke Chinese. Is that what it was?
No, he was all Chinese.
Oh, he was all Chinese.
He was all Chinese to the part that, like, his dad was from China,
right?
And his mother was a Chinese actress, and so he was raised Canadian. He was very Canadian, and he played sports and all that. But he had that Chinese side of him. He very Cantonese.
Very Cantonese. Okay, so yeah.
And when he was a truck driver, he would turn all the truck drivers onto the Chinese menu in a restaurant. Like they go to Chinatown or something. And my dad, of course, he wouldn't even look at a menu. He would just tell the guy what he wanted, and he'd order the real good food.
The real good shit. Yeah. No, actually, Cantonese food. I'm sorry, man. It's better than Szechuan, man. I'm a Cantonese, Southern China.
Szechuan is like Indian or Mexican. They have it so hot because it's an antibiotic. It's to keep you from getting sick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why the hot sauce.
That's why I'm having ginger tea, Tommy.
Yeah, that's good.
And you know what? What I need to do is I need to put some of your THC mix in this motherfucker, so that way I can woo.
I wanted to ask you, coming from Canada, when you were young at that age, was America always the big draw as far as
always
you had to go to America to make anything of yourself as
Well, as soon as we discovered. See, I grew up playing guitar, but not because I was a guitar player. It was because I was kind of like we lived in the farm. We lived on the outskirts of the city.
What part? So maybe I'll know what part.
In Calgary.
Because I've been to Calgary Stampede. I've been Calgary.
Oh yeah, well, it's 42nd. Our house was on 42nd, and it was before they had streets even. Now it would be 42nd and 11th Street,
42nd and 11th.
Southwest.
Yeah,
Southwest.
Calgary is like Texas. It to me, it's similar to Texas. In Edmonton, it's just,
in every way. Racist.
in every way, right?
They're racist as can be.
Right. It's just interesting because my wife is half Native American, and I'm sure you're very familiar. She's Indopino, Native American and Filipino, so she's got a mean left hook.
Do you know what tribe?
She's actually Chippewa Cree.
Oh, Chippewa Cree.
Yeah, Chippewa Cree. So she's Cree.
I'm part, I think, Ojibwe. I think my mother, who was I found out, a quarter Native.
Wait, you said your mother's Scottish, right?
Scottish Irish.
You know what? My wife's is Scottish too. Her true last name is Sutherland. That one day she met Kiefer Sutherland at the LAX and go, hey, you know what? We have the same last name. And Kiefer says, you know what? The Sutherland keeps a track on their last name. So if you're a Sutherland, there's always that one dude that laid all the seams. They can trace the tree if you're a Sutherland. So, but then on the reservation,
well, he's Canadian too, right?
Huh?
Sutherland's Canadian too, right?
Yeah. Exactly. They're from Canada. They're from
Toronto,
Saskatchewan.
Oh, Saskatchewan. Oh, yeah.
They're from Saskatchewan.
Yeah, it's funny. Kiefer Sutherland, his girlfriend is what is she? She's Mexican. Yeah, she's all Mexican.
And she probably got Native in her too. She probably got Native American.
You know, every Mexican has. Yeah. So we just found out that the big secret wasn't my dad marrying my mother, who was tall, gorgeous, dark haired, part Native, Scotch Irish lady. And she married a 5'3" Chinese guy, and that wasn't the big issue. And then they had 3 kids.
Pop's got game. Pop's got game. Pop, you know, freaking Chinese motherfuckers, man. They got game, man. They got game. I gotta give it to them.
But the big secret was that we're part Native. That's what they had to keep, because the Natives were treated so badly, you know, in Canada by everybody, you know.
Wow.
And it's all good, man. But the Chinese, the story of China in Canada, oh man, just cracked me up. Wow. But like I said, you know, I started. The reason I started playing guitar was that I found I had musical abilities. We'd visit my cousin. He was about 8 years older than us, and my brother and I. And he had his mother bought him a 12 bass accordion. And so every time I'd go over there, I would go find that accordion, strap it on, and be there for a couple hours playing it. And finally, one day when I was leaving, my aunt said, "Don't forget your accordion." And they gave me the accordion, and so that was my thing. And then my mother had a guitar, and when she was pregnant with me, so I learned how to play. I learned how to do a few chords. The next thing you know, I'm playing backup with a fiddle player, my neighbor, and I've been playing guitar ever since. You know, still am more of a backup guitar player than anything else.
That's interesting. My adopted father, who's passed away, he was actually born in 1937. And he always told me, I got a guitar hanging up in the back that we can't see, but he said, "Son, learn how to play you a guitar and you'll never spend the night alone." Is that sort of what you found out along your musical journey? It's like you
know it. The power of the guitar, man. Woo. I tell you, it changed. That's how I met both my wives. My first wife.
I better start picking away, man. Shit.
Yeah, my first wife. She was the sister of the piano player that we put in a band, And when I laid eyes on her, ooh, I fell in love, and then, but she wasn't that thrilled with me. She put up with me, but yeah, and then we got married and had 2 kids, Ray Don Chong
Ray
and
Don, yeah, Ray Don.
Robbie, and then I fell in love with the Shelby, and I'm looking at her right now. She is, and then we had 3 kids,
That's amazing.
and it was all about the guitar.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. You put that guitar on, man, and it changed my life.
Is
Wow.
how is it being, your 60 years right career, going from the beginning to picking up the guitar, to a lot of people fast forward don't maybe not know that part of your career, to the comedy, to having children, them themselves starting businesses, and transitioning over. It seems like every decade you come into a new generation of fans. I mean, just what's that feeling like? I mean,
Yeah, how do you do it?
It's it's so easy to do that it's a puzzle to me why people have a hard time. But then I was blessed. I was very blessed. When I was, I guess, 8 years old, I went to Bible camp. My brother and I were walking down a road. We looked like Tom Sawyer, barefoot. And see, back in the day, you went barefoot. And the reason you went barefoot is because it was warm, and you didn't want to mess up your shoes. You only had one pair of shoes, and or one running shoes. And by the summertime, you didn't need running shoes when we were not going to school. And so we were barefoot, and just a pair of pants that you put on every day, underwear, of course, and a shirt, and that was it. And sometimes if it was hot out, you didn't even have the shirt. And my brother and I are walking down this dirt road, and a car pulls up. And when a car pulled up in the country, it was an event, because this is back it had to be in the 40s. And so we, the guy pulls up, and he says, there was a bunch of them, and they were missionaries from a church. And they said, you boys want to go to Bible camp? And of course I said, yeah. And my brother, yeah, okay. And so we got taken. That was that night I spent at the church with indoor plumbing, and that was a treat, being able to flush a toilet and have a bath, so I went to Bible camp, and I was young enough that I really got into it. And by getting into it was that everything that was said to me resonated with me. I had no distraction. See, what happens when you're young, you can focus on what people are telling you, because you're learning. You can grasp it so easy, and if it's done in the camp form the way it was, we were in like a tent, a communal tent, and it was beautiful. And so the whole 2 weeks I spent just listening to the beautiful Bible stories, and having these real pretty missionary girls would teach us, and then they had a sing along around the campfire at night, and that's really how I got into the singing, because you had to sing along, and because I could play a guitar, that wasn't hard. So the singing part was great. And then for entertainment, every tent had to come up with their own little theater group. And
Really?
Yeah. And so there's a dining room with a stage area. And so that was my earliest time on stage, doing little plays and little things. And at the end of the 2 weeks, they gave out awards, and I won the award for being the nicest kid, the nicest boy.
Wow. Talking about manifest destiny. Wow.
Here's the kicker, man. I won't bore you with the details, but while I was there, the first thing they taught me to do was how to pray.
Mm.
See, I'd gone to not really gone to Sunday school, but it was after that camp, I went to Sunday school every Sunday. In fact, I started teaching it. I started because I was the only one there. And so they would say, okay, Tom, you might as well, there are a couple of kids, younger kids that come in, more babysitting than teaching. But I got turned on real early, that young. When you're 8 years old and you learn how to pray, that is like the key to Fort Knox, man. Because it's a prayer that what you're doing really is you're planning your life. You see, all of us are individual, immortal souls that have always been here. We're one of a kind. We're only in the physical world to learn whatever lesson that you didn't learn the last time you were here, you're learning it now, and so on. And so that's why a lot of people are in the middle of their studies. And so luckily for me, I started off with the spiritual studies. And so that once you learn the key, it's the key to life. And it's because what we are really, we're our mind. That's who we are. Not our brain, but our mind. And and what we are really, we're a unique thought.
In our thoughts, yeah.
We are a thought, one thought.
Would you?
And we're immortal, and we've always been here. And what we're doing now is we're here learning. Some of us are teaching, but most of us are just here to learn. And whatever the lesson is, it cracks me up because I get these epiphanies every day now, because I'm so connected. And so the messages, the words come in, and that explains my whole career, because it's not me. It's not me, it's the higher power. And the higher power is guiding me as long as I listen to it and be true to my goal, or my time on earth here. I'm sent for, we're all here for a reason. And one of the reasons I'm here is to be who I am. And who I am, that's speaks louder than anything, you give an example to people as opposed to telling them what to do. You show them what to do, and then you show them how to do it. And that's our purpose here. And sometimes, like connecting with you guys, for instance, I don't know what brought it about, but it was time that what I have to do, I have to share my story, my life, my knowledge with those that want to hear, you see. And a lot of times, and I've been given the right books at the right time, and everything in my life that's happened, it happened for a reason and at the right time. Being discovered by Diana Ross in the Supremes, for instance, that was a moment. Meeting Bobby Taylor in San Francisco, this phenomenal singer.
Bobby Taylor.
And hooking up with him.
Was he? I'm sorry. Was he the father of Floyd Taylor? Is there any relation? I listened to a lot of Floyd Taylor.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't. It could be.
Bobby Taylor was a very popular artist. Yeah, very popular.
Bobby. His legacy is pretty together. He's on. If you want to hear him, without the Vancouvers, of course he did. Does Your Mama Know About Me? With that's the song I wrote with the Vancouvers. But he did a song before that. As he was what do you call it? He was substituting for another guy. He was cheating, actually. They were entered armed services talent contest, and because he wasn't in the armed services, they faked like he was, and
Really?
gave him a wrong name. But he's got a song out called "Been So Long" by the Pastels. So Google that and check it out. And
I'm Googling it right now. I'm looking at Bobby Taylor right here.
Yeah. There you go.
I wanted to ask you, since we're on this on the spiritual kind of tip, Ray here, is a devoted Christian and everything. I myself, I'm more in the agnostic realm. I believe in something. I say, read through the Bible and everything. Not much of a, I don't put a lot of emphasis on it. It's something I'm open to. We have a lot of talks about that. And I have a son, a 7-year-old, who I'm in that process now where I wasn't raised with any sort of religious input, hardly at all. I just grew up so I'm very to the left, conspiratorial minded. I question everything. Would you say, being in my situation, someone that doesn't have that obviously is still, I should guide my son why his mind is like a sponge, not necessarily to indoctrinate him too much, but giving him that base of, hey, here's this book. Can you kind of maybe expound on that a little bit? And
Sure. Easy. There's a couple of books that I'll tell you to get. The first one is by Emmett Fox. Emmett Fox. Write it down, or if it's recorded, you'll get it. Emmett Fox, and he wrote what's it called? Anyway, he wrote he explains the Bible to you, the 10 Commandments. He explains everything because it has to be explained. See, there was no writing back in the day. There's no recording. And so everything that the Bible, everything that's been written now has been written later after all the events happened. Right. But these holy people that I know, and the other book that I want you to get is the one that I keep right next to me. It's by Joel S. Goldsmith, and it's this one's called The Master Speaks, but he's written a half a dozen or more, and they basically say the same thing, but they say it in a like music. It's like rap music. Like rap is basically, there's 2 songs, fast and slow. And they're the same, only they're changed around so that they make a unit. And that's the same thing as the spiritual world. The spiritual world is very, very, very simple. In fact, there's opposites. Everything. You can't have one without the other.
Right.
You can't have up
yin and
without
yang.
down. You can't yin and yang. And that is the same thing as our world. We got a physical world. And the opposite of physical world is the spiritual world. In the physical world, there's everything. In the spiritual world, there is nothing except love. That's the only thing that exists in the spiritual world is love. And what love is really truth. If you want to know what truth is, think of love, because that's what truth really is, love. You know how they say the truth will set you free? Well, and when like a mathematician, when he works on a big thing, and when he comes up with the answer, the truth, it sets him free. Now he's free to work on another problem. You see how it works?
So you can also say love will set you free, Tommy.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It will
set you free. And you know what? Speaking of that, if you read Psalms, which was written by David, the way it's sequenced, even it wasn't just him that wrote it. It was other people that were joining. He's a musician. It's basically written like a song verse.
Sure. Well, you know what?
1, 2, 3.
You know what the Christ. You know what the Christ means. You know, like a lot of Christians, they think Jesus' name is Jesus Christ. Well, it's not.
Yeah,
See, in fact, Jesus was not his name. His name was probably Joseph. Jesus is a Greek word that means savior. Okay. The Christ is what you call the Holy Spirit.
Oh, that's
So
why they say
it should have
Jesus
been
is Christ.
so Jesus the Christ. See, that's what
Jesus the
right.
Christ.
Yeah, it's Christ is the Holy Spirit. Now, check this out. I can share it with you because we're talking about it. The other day, because what I do now, we don't have a band or anything else. So when I get creative, I write down my notes.
Yeah,
and
we can relate. We can relate.
And so I'm writing, and Siri comes on, and Siri says, "You don't have to write it; just say it, and I will record
Dictate it." Yeah.
What?
I freaked out, man. I said,
Automatically?
"Where did that come from?" Yeah, it just Siri talked to me, and so then I went to my book. Check it out. I went to my Master Speaks book, and I opened it up randomly, and I asked. First of all, I asked us, "Who spoke? Who spoke? Who did that?" And when I opened the book, it was a section on the Holy Spirit.
No shit.
The Holy Spirit told me, and then told me in the book, it's the Holy Spirit. So we are in contact with the Holy Spirit. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you're doing everything what they want, saving the world, helping others, doing the right thing, see, our world is very fragile.
Right.
It's very fragile. Well, it's not, doesn't take a whole lot to create havoc and despair and thing. And the reason is that you only learn from your mistakes. Okay. When you in the physical world, on the way to doing anything, being a doctor, being a teacher, being a lawyer, being an athlete, being a student, being a drug addict, being whatever you're destined to be, you're here to learn. Everything is a lesson.
Right.
Everything is a lesson. And a lot of times you're learning what not to do. Sometimes you're learning what to do. It all depends on what what you need when you're growing. If you look at the plants in the garden, you'll see some that are really healthy and big and strong, in there forever. And then you see other ones that are barely making it. And then you see some that, well, maybe it might make it, maybe it won't. That's the human race.
I also wanted to ask you about other drugs besides marijuana and hallucinogenics. Back in your day, did you experience with shrooms, acid, LSD,
all of it,
everything?
He said all of it. Yeah.
And I wanted to say, I wanted to ask you about DMT. In your opinion, if you have or haven't, I had a DMT experience, and that's where I kind of actually accepted the Holy Spirit, if you will, like my actual experience that I had, the complete feeling of warmth and love, and just completely shredding my ego down. I mean, to the minuscule, to where I was bawling afterwards, and I was embracing, and it literally changed me. And you're, with being versed in the Bible and spirituality and having psychedelic experiences, is that an acceptable claim for myself?
Oh, absolutely. Because what you're really doing is you're finding out your essence, who you really are. You're stripping away the layers that are put on us, either at birth or with your environment or whatever it is. You're protected in a certain way, but then it comes a time when you're just naked and you're out there bare, and you have to accept what comes and know what to do with what comes. So many of us, and for a reason, by the way. we're all here to learn, and that's why forgiveness is so important,
Mm.
because no matter how evil a person is, they're learning. They're learning, and and by the way, eternity means that we will all go through everything. And when you see the drug addict laying in the gutter, it was maybe you at one time, and maybe you in the future. But
Mm.
eventually, we are all going to go through those roads, because that's all roads lead to the same place. And every time, every journey that we're on, we learn. We learn something. Sometimes we learn that we didn't learn anything, but that is something.
Tommy, you definitely exemplify what the Bible says. You know, a man with gray hair comes wisdom.
That's true.
Man with gray hair comes wisdom, because you are
accused of that.
schooling me right now, brother.
Yeah, I got accused of that the other day. In fact, I shut up the whole night because they said, my friends of ours, the wives sit on one side and the guys sit on the other side, and my friends were fighting over who was going to. They didn't want me in the middle, because I'm like a buzzkill,
Well, you know what's interesting is that like when we did the research, you're a writer first and foremost. We understand that. Harris and I were both writers. I have like volumes and volumes of journal, and so does him, so does he. And what I'm discovering, I'm 55 years old now, so I've lived a pretty long life too, is that when you're a writer, you're a natural messenger of the world.
Yeah.
And that's who you are. That's why you got into the entertainment and writing and music and
yeah, exactly.
You ever?
And it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Was-
And physically it wasn't me.
Do you ever?
Like, I've never been the star of anything. I've always been the backup or a partner to somebody. It's only just lately that I've come into my own, and I've come into my own basically as a hippie philosopher, for want of a better description.
And I'm buying that book, okay? I'm buying that book, okay? Hippie philosopher. That's it. That's it. That's a trademark. We got that.
I wanted to ask you, in doing the research, I seen I wanted to talk a little bit about, and not to take you back into the past too much, but when the DEA came in and did their whole seizure operation, was pipe dreams or something like that. And you did your stint in a Taft Correctional, and you were cellmates with Jordan Belfort. And you were writing, and I think he credited you for giving him the inspiration to write his memoir. But for you, has writing been, is it almost like this power that you feel, whether it's planning out your day, is that true when you write? It's almost, you can manifest your destiny and things like that. And when you were in doing your stint in prison, did that comfort you, the ability to still write, even though you were, limited to what you can do and create things when you got out?
I went into prison. I'm a Gemini to begin with. Okay, so I got there's a lot of different personalities, and so there was part of me that was really digging it. I loved the adventure. I knew in my heart that I had to go to jail somewhere in my life. I knew, because I hooked up early in my life with the bad crowd, kind of. But it wasn't a crowd. It was one poor soul coming out of prison after another. And in Canada, there was no services or anything to help anybody. When you got out of jail, it was very cold. You got out, boom, you're on the street, go for it. There's no one to help you. And so my house became kind of a known that I was friendly to ex-cons. And this one ex-con, the first one actually, that started the whole thing, he became a really good friend. He had nowhere to stay, but he was a biker, and he had been in jail most of his life, And back in jail in the 50s, it wasn't like I went through, and so I always kind of, and then as the years went by, more people found out that we were friendly to ex-cons, so we had a lot of ex-cons stay at our house, and the lesson I learned from them was to stay at a prison. That's not where you want to be. And that was one lesson I learned. And the other lesson was that, but if you have to go, it can be really interesting, And so I was torn between the two, and I existed between the two. When I had moments when I just had one really bad moment, and because Vanity Fair sent a limousine to take me to prison.
That's what I heard in your comedy act. Yeah.
So my wife and I, we rode in the limousine all the way to Taft. And then once I got to Taft, they it was a meeting at the gate, and they kind of heralded me into the prison. And when I was being driven over to the camp, the first thing the driver did, the correctional officer, pulled out an album and asked me to sign his album. So I was a celebrity in jail, and that part was good. But at night, when nightfall came, and I'm in prison, and I'm going to be here for at least 9 months. I heard the door lock. It was a big dormitory, and there's like 200-300 people in bunks, in cubicles, and I heard the key turning.
Reality steady.
And when I heard that, I felt a chill went over my body. Like I got claustrophobic in a sense. What if a fire breaks out and the door's locked? And and then all of a sudden I felt the Holy Spirit came and just warmed me from the head down to my toes. And then I felt this, it's going to be all right, whispered in my ear. And next thing I know, I wake up to the prison loudspeaker asking, for Garcia to get to the mess hall, and my prison time started, and it was biblical. It was so sweet and so beautiful, because all I did was meet beautiful people in prison, gorgeous, because you had to be on your best behavior to be in the camp. Yeah. And so nice bikers and nice, nice embezzlers and tax evaders.
Tax evader.
All the sweet, con men like Jordan Belfort.
Yeah.
And doctors and lawyers.
Michael Milken and all of them.
I assume you guys are in there almost, in that element, the camp, you're in there, plotting business deals and learning information and
the geniuses are on there.
Well, the prison system had changed from what the penal colony was, what my buddies went through. A couple of them, it was tough and really brutal, much like the Russian prisons, but worse, because they had corporal punishment in the prisons. And in Canada, right up until the 60s, or I think the 60s, they had a silent system. So when you went to jail, you could not speak unless you had permission to speak for the entire time you're in prison. Jeez. And punishment for speaking would be a beating.
Wow. That's a concentration camp. That's not a prison. It's a concentration camp.
Worse.
Yeah.
Wow. And then they had and when they wanted to hang someone, they had to build the gallows, and they'd make a point of that, so it would be a deterrent for the rest of the prisoners. They never had a nice, sweet way to kill anybody. They would do it in public, and they'd build the gallows, and the prisoners would be locked down, and all that shit would happen. The worst thing in the prison that I was in, there was in fact, the prisons that I was in Taft is closed down now, and I think it was environmental concerns because it was built over a toxic waste dump, and all the guards that were there for the most part are gone or died
of cancer or something.
Yeah, died of cancer or valley fever. There's a thing called valley fever.
Yeah.
And when the wind would blow the dust, the announcer would come on and bring everybody out of the yard back into the cells and into the dormitories, close the doors, and ride out the windstorm because there was some kind of valley fever dust, and it's a wasting disease. And there was at least one or two people dying in every dormitory. The whole time I was there, there was always someone dying. And
Wow.
And I've seen that you've beat cancer twice yourself.
Yeah.
In your life.
Well, I got cancer. I believe I got cancer in Taft when I was there, and I wasn't smoking weed. I quit smoking weed for about 3 years because I went on pre-trial probation where they blood tested you, pre-tested, drug tested, and then I went through the whole prison. And I got tested almost every day for at least the first couple of months. They were trying to bust me.
Leading up to that point, how many years of your life have you been smoking? I mean, was it tough?
I started smoking when I was 17.
And that was your first time not,
and that was
13, 14.
Well, no, I mean, there were periods where we couldn't afford it, couldn't buy it, couldn't find it, couldn't find the weed. No, the great thing about weed is that if it was there, I'd smoke it. And if it wasn't there, I wouldn't miss it.
That's what I love about Canada, Tommy, because I remember in Canada, 19 years old, it's legal to drink. They had what they call cannabis lounges. And because Canada had my cousin has a very, there's a huge East Indian population in Vancouver.
I know.
And they're all smokers, and then Chinese too, and they're all smokers out, man, and indoor stuff.
Everybody there.
Indoor stuff, and man, it was great.
I am hoping that you have one of your icky sticks next to you, and we can smoke with you on Harris's Drinking Again podcast, brother.
There you go. He's ready.
I got a joint. I got a pipe.
Okay, I got one.
Smoke on camera.
Oh man, you guys.
Oh,
you guys,
are we doing this?
That's just not fair, man. Come, man. I ran out, dudes. Man, I ran out, man.
Hey, this is a legendary moment. Salute.
Wait.
Harry's drinking again.
Everywhere I go.
I've had in my life. I mean, when everybody lists, who you want to smoke with. I mean, it's Tommy Chong, it's Willie Nelson, it's Snoop Dogg, possibly Redman, all these guys. This right here is groundbreaking.
Yep. You got it.
Man.
Who is your all-time favorite? If you had to give a top 5, you're stranded on an island and you only got 5 people to smoke with.
I think they'd all be female.
Lives.
But this is what we're killing them with is these Cheech and Chong Cruise chews. They're gummies that have a legal amount of THC.
Okay.
And so I get my THC with the gummies.
In one ear, out the other.
Have you smoked with who's the most famous woman? Everybody always asks about the men. Who's the most your favorite female smoking? Buddy, celebrity or sort of.
Well, there's an astrologer named Deborah Silverman that she's a top astrologer for the stars. Sting and everybody, and she lives in Hawaii, and she's a stoner, and we're pretty good buddies. We share the same birthday.
Oh my God, I bet the conversations are intense.
Wow. We're in Hawaii, Honolulu area, Tommy? Or?
Kauai, I believe.
Oh, Kauai. Okay, Kauai.
I believe. She's Deborah Silverman. She's a big, you look her up. She's got podcasts and everything else. And we smoke up every chance we get, not necessarily together. I don't, she's always asked me for it. And she always, she doesn't want, what do you call it? Roaches or she wants new green. And
she wants a new green.
Clean green.
Right.
Clean green, yeah.
And if you could talk also a little bit about your products and let people know, I know you have the Icky Stick, and you have your own glass company. You make your actual own.
Well, that's what put me in jail. That was the Chong Bong company that put me in jail. I had to go to jail because we were selling water pipes to the public.
Paraphernalia as well.
You have your own. Is there a Tommy Chong strain?
Yeah, actually, I think there's a lot of up in smoke strains. Cheech and I got a weed company together that we're going public with at sometime this summer. I think we would have gone sooner, but the pandemic kind of stopped us.
When it goes live, over there in Reno, I'm in a state that's not too friendly right now, so hush hush. So this is a nice CBD. No, just kidding.
What state? Where are you?
I'm in Utah currently. I'm from.
Oh right, the Mormons.
Yes.
Mormons. I hear you got a killer gymnast. Did you hear about her?
A killer? No.
No, I'm talking about a gorgeous blonde gymnast that's upset Utah. The Utah University. Check it out, man. It was on the news.
Why? Because you fired up?
No, all the thousands of fans coming out, and then she hurt herself, so she couldn't perform. But the 1,000 fans or so rowdy fans, they came out and they got full-length pictures of her. And
I gotta pull that up. Okay, hold on 1 second. I gotta pull that up. Utah gymnast. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Well, when I get over to Reno, definitely gonna go into or even West Wendover Deep Roots Harvest, and I'm gonna purchase some of your products, and
yes,
just freaking amazing.
Yeah, we got I think the two of our best sellers. I do a sleep. Oh shit, I don't have one around here called Nice Dreams. It's an elixir, and then I got an upper that'll wake you up the next day called Good Vibes.
Good Vibes.
But this is what we're killing them with is these Cheech and Chong Cruise chews. They're gummies that have a legal amount of THC.
Okay.
And so I get my THC with the gummies.
Beautiful.
And they're really nice to suck on.
Right. Just to give you a nice body high. Are you talking about let's say Michaela McCallum? No,
yeah.
Michaela Skinner?
Yeah.
Is that the one? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, she's a hot one. Okay. Yeah.
She looks pretty hot,
She's hot, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Utah got some lookers over here. I know you're married. I don't want to get you in trouble, but since you
hey, no, at my age, man, it's like a compliment.
He just tried facts. He said, "No, at my age, my wife."
My wife would get very happy. Oh really?
Finally, get some attention, huh? Good. Okay.
Is there a particular city, that just known in your travels for having the most gorgeous women? I mean, I'm sure other than California and Florida, is there other?
Vancouver,
yeah, Vancouver, man, they got the hottest. Oh man, from anywhere.
Vancouver.
Wow.
Chinese, Russian, Italian.
Now, I used to live in Seattle for a little while. I never made it
from Seattle would come up to Vancouver.
Vancouver. A lot of models come from Vancouver. A lot of
Well,
models.
you get there for some reason. You're there,
Yeah.
And New York has got a nice.
And then you
nice-
ask them where they're from originally, Canada.
Oh
like-
yeah,
I took the bus. I took the bus from Port Coquitlam to Burnaby, Tommy.
Mhm.
And riding the bus, I'm over here like, man, what? Like one gorgeous female after the other, and they're nice.
well,
Not
Pamela
in
Anderson.
California.
Pamela Anderson,
Yeah,
she-
they are friendly and nice.
British Columbia.
British Columbia got some
Well,
gorgeous
Shelby, my
hot
wife.
babes.
Right.
My wife and her sister, Forrest. Whew, Forrest, two of the most gorgeous ladies in the universe.
Wow.
And one's my wife.
One of my all-time, well, growing up, one of my favorites, Sandra Bullock. Right. She's another.
Oh,
Well, I didn't know Sandra was Canadian.
She's I had a big crush on her. You know.
yeah, I know Sandra really well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really well.
Wow.
In fact, I got her discovered by Mitzi.
Oh, Mitzi Shore.
Mitzi Shore, yeah. Sandra was trying to get stage time, and Mitzi wouldn't let her. And so I asked Mitzi, I'm working on a thing. I need to see Sandra Bullock.
I didn't even know Sandra started as a comic.
No, I got the wrong Sandra. I'm sorry about that. Told the wrong Sandra. I just realized that now. No, Sandra. No, Sandra Bullock, the actress. No, wrong.
Oh.
Eh, I don't know her. I am stoned though.
Oh wow.
Hey, I don't know what it is. I think just the fact that we're smoking with the icon. I'm higher than I usually am myself. I'm over here day and night.
I'm not smoking with you, and I'm stoned.
Yeah, well, that's the way it works.
I mean, man, bro, I tell you, man, you gotta come up here. We gotta hang out. I'll make you some Filipino food, man. Some chicken adobo and rice, man. My famous,
Ooh.
man. You know what? Fire up some of that fat. Oh man.
What do you do with
Some-
coconut?
What do I do with coconut?
Yeah.
Oh man, there's a lot of things that I can do. There's a my dad is from the part of the Philippines called Bicol, and it's kind of like it's got an Indonesian flair, and they cook everything. They call it gata, which is coconut with some type of I don't know, some bok choy and ginger and all that good stuff. Good stuff.
That's where I'm at. I love
Okay.
I love the coconut. I love
Okay.
everything about it. I love the whole.
Everything from the husk to the meat to the
Well,
I love
its
the juice.
existence, the coconut existence. The way
Oh.
it would make a perfect home for so many creatures, but its covering is protected by this intense insecticide.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's why the bugs don't get inside. Because think about it, you'd have food, shelter, and everything inside a coconut.
That's true.
But yet it survives all the creatures because of the insecticide that it puts out around the coconut plant itself.
You know what? Now that we're on the subject, just to let you know, okay, so I lived in Hawaii for 15 years. And this is what I found out. In Hawaii, before the Chinese came there was bear. Maybe the only thing that grew there, I don't even think the coconut grew there.
Oh, right.
Everything, all of their vegetation, their flowers came from China.
Yes.
Came from China. University of Hawaii was started by Chinese migrants over there. And the aloha spirit and all that stuff. And when I went over there, the aloha and all that stuff, I thought it was Hawaiians. No, man. It's a mixture of the Filipino, Koreans, Japanese, Portuguese, the crazy, what they call it, Vala'au Portuguese are comedians, natural comedians.
Yeah.
And that's the aloha vibe, man. Tommy, you got to come to Reno, brother. You got to come to Reno, man. That's it. Book him a flight, man. That's it. When you come over in the summertime, Harris, man, we're booking,
I was gonna say
our boy Tommy Chong.
Are you still doing, you know, like for 2023, you and Cheech and Chong? So are you still doing stand up?
Yeah.
You're still in the whole thing, the movies? What's your
Well, we're doing the we're about to start a movie. We quit doing the stand up due to the pandemic and due to Cheech's knees. You know, like we lost our rock star.
Wow.
So so we decided now we do appearances where we'll do Q&A. You know, we'll take we'll meet the audience, and you know, like a talk show.
we're gonna have to book you for
That's it.
for a
That's
Reno.
it. It's done. Book it. Yep.
We'll
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
We could do that.
We got some big plans, some big events. We did a show years ago, Yam Jam, and you know, we have this whole reuniting going on in Northern Nevada, Reno specifically, and you know, I'm trying to just make this great rapport with our guests, and you know, intertwine everybody if we can, man.
Sure, make some money while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we're gonna invite you to come on it, man. We have to, man.
Yeah,
know?
well, you know, you got to go through the
Proper
agent,
channels. Yep.
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
that
do
stuff.
that.
But hey, it's all doable. You know,
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. I
money.
love it.
That's our motivation as well, man. You know, on the up.
Yeah, it's good. I like that, man. That's how I hung with the singer Tommy Milton. He was a go-getter. He was the guy that was, come on, man, we got to go here, we got to go there, we went to Vancouver. No, okay, now we got to go down to Seattle. No, we got to go down to LA. And we got to do it. Got to do it. And then we got to get our own club. We got to, rent
One
a
after
hall,
the other.
put on our own shows. We did all that. Yeah, he was a good partner.
Wow. Wow.
He got me going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing, man. So before we do get you out of here, I think is there anything else you want to plug? I didn't bring up your book, I Ching, the memoirs. You have so many things, but if there's anything else you want to plug at all.
Let's see. Just I don't know. What can we plug? What show is this?
This is well, definitely I'm gonna ask you for a drop. This is the Harris's Drinking Again.
Okay, let's plug the Harris's Drinking Again.
Yeah, but before we get there, Tommy, my question is, we always ask this to our guests. Did you have a great time at Harris's Drinking Again?
As I can remember.
Oh yeah.
My memory doesn't go back too far, but it was good. Anytime I get a chance to talk without being interrupted, I'll take it.
Wow.
Respect.
That's powerful, because I myself, naturally quiet guy, Ray evens me out. We're like the yin and yang. We're almost like Cheech and Chong in a way.
Yeah,
like the two dynamics.
yeah.
Him in 20 years my elder, and he was well versed. He can cover subjects with you about the history and the Chinese and the Canadian, and then I'm over here on the under some of the younger stuff from my generation, and connecting with you. And that's the real point of the whole thing, is we always ask the guests, man, is we made some sort of connection.
Hey man, this is Tommy Chong, and you're listening and watching Harris's Drinking Again. Sounds like a ghetto movie.
It don't matter, man. You're Tommy Chong, brother, man. Whatever you say sticks.
That is, man.
Oh man,
Pleasure.
Yes.
As I mentioned before, simply thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's the most important thing.
Well, good luck with everything, you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. You'll get there eventually. We always will. We always do.
Thank you, Tommy. Thank you. Appreciate you, man.
Adios,
Appreciate
amigo.
it. Adios. Adios.
How do I get out of here now?
Brother. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. This is Brother Ray G talking to you live at Harris's Drinking Again.
Yo, what's going on, guys? If you like this video, click above. We got 2 more right there, or down there, or somewhere. Hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more content. We got amazing interviews like the one you've just seen or the clip you just seen. I don't know what you watch because I put this behind the end of every video. So stay tuned. Hit that like, subscribe. Harry's Drinking Again. It goes up.
Harry's drinking again.